What's good, everybody? Happy Wednesday, hump day. Hope you guys are enjoying your week. I went to the zoo today. Pretty good day. Went to the zoo. If you know me, you know that I love animals. Got to, chop it up with the giraffes and the lions and whatnot. So for me, it was a pretty good day. I appreciate that in the animals. It's the little things, you gotta appreciate the little things during the day and throughout life. And those are the things that kind of make it worthwhile. So for me, it's looking at a giraffe eat lettuce. So that's my thing. So anyway, welcome to Who Peed in the Dating Pool. I hope everybody is good, safe. I hope everybody has the same amount of extremities after this 4th of July Monday. If you Tuesday, 4 fingers, 2 thumbs, both hands, arms, elbows, because folks was wilding on Monday. It's crazy. The people were wilding. So hopefully you had a safe 4th of July and productive and enjoyed time with your family and whatnot. Anyway, so today, and for you guys that are that were with us on Saturday, and we had a great guest coming up, and we had a little miscommunication, but he's here today, and I'm excited to have him. It's my guy Junior. Now, Junior is multi-talented. Let me tell you. First of all, he's a co-author of a book, Letter to Our Brothers. It delves into various different topics about black men and our culture. I'll let him go into it a little bit more. He's also a chef. So the man can write, the man can cook. Listen, he's a well-rounded dude. Funny as hell, too. Social media, he's a funny dude. But other than that, he's an all-around dude. Married man. He's a family man. He's a parent. And he's going to talk about a few things with us. And I think you guys are going to enjoy him. So, I'm looking forward to it. Because this is probably going to be this is the first time that I've actually had an all-male segment. So usually, I appreciate women. Women make this show happen. They make it work. But this is the first time that I'm actually going to have a segment where it's just all guys. And I know a lot of guys, they reached out to me. It's like, dude, you need the male perspective. I'm the male perspective. What the hell? But I'm just excited that we get to chop it up and we get to talk to him a little bit, and we're gonna have fun. It's Wednesday, it's summer, Friday's around the corner. We're gonna enjoy this. So again, I'm excited. So. What's going on, cuz? One day we're gonna get you up here, man. Have a forum with just gentlemen and men. And if y'all don't know, my cuz, he's a good dude. Wendell, what's good? He's a good dude, smart dude, successful. Love this kid. So one day we're gonna get him up here, and he's gonna chop it up with me. We're gonna have this. It's gonna be testosterone day. Yo, Junior, what's good, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm chilling, man.
Yo,
Hold
finally
on,
got this newfangled technology down to pack, son. I'm in here.
man. Listen. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I blame the technology. I'm I'm blaming Meta.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That is like the
That's,
new enemy right now of us old
yeah,
heads.
yeah, that's what I'm blaming. I'm not even blaming you, man. So what's
Yeah.
going on, man?
Uh,
How's your weekend?
Nothing much, man. I'm so. I hope my signal comes in well. Like you said, I'm a
Hmm.
busy dude, and today I'm like heading to the groomers, dropping my kid off at work. I'm working because
Right,
I do have a full-time job. I
right.
do try to get the chef thing in, and as you noticed from my social media, I haven't written
Mhm.
in a while, but I do love writing. So every
Right, right.
opportunity I get an idea, it's popping in my
Hmm.
head. So right now I'm on the road heading to the
No
groomers
question.
right now, but I definitely want to pop in, say hello, kind of give
Hmm.
that male perspective. Like you said, I enjoyed your show on
Thank
the
you.
last episode with
Appreciate
your
it.
niece. It
Yo,
inspired me,
awesome.
man. Inspired me.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, man, what I need people like you and to come in and chime in, and give me your perspective. I enjoy positive, negative critiques, what have you. I don't care. How can we make this show better? And I think having people like yourself, I think it improves and it builds on the show. So I'm excited to have people on, and
Hmm.
it's all good, man.
Well, I
So,
appreciate.
like I,
Oh, just before you get into spill, I gotta give it back. I appreciate you. You know, going out there, pushing the envelope, bringing new topics. Talking about things that people going through, and more specifically, the dating pool, which
absolutely.
I was absolutely in that. So I can't wait to like you say, chop it up and see
Right,
what we
right,
come up with.
right, definitely. So before we start, tell us about the book. Just give us a little bit information about the book.
Okay. So like you said, the book is called Letters to Our Brothers. It's a book about wisdom, words of healing, just
Right,
everyday issues and challenges that African Americans go through, and not to even limit it to African Americans, just males in particular go through. And like, just
right,
it started as like a letter going out to a brother in need who wants to hear words that'll get him through whatever he's going through. So it's like, like for example, my piece was about love, because I experienced it, I lost
right,
it, and I've experienced it again.
right,
So I wanted to share with young brothers out there, older brothers if necessary, that it's not the end. If you lose that love, it's out there. You just have to keep trying. Just
right,
picture it like a pond. Like you got to fish in different ponds. You know what I mean? Like if you limit yourself to one pond, you're only going to get one type of fish. So you gotta
mm,
switch it up a little bit. And it was just me talking about how I met my late wife, what we went through, the ups and
right,
downs of relationships, and finally
right,
getting together and then losing that. So that's
right,
my piece. But there's other pieces in there about a brother in jail, how he got through it, a guy who lost his mom. There's a guy who's like trying to start a business and lost it all. So there's a plethora of things in there that kind of touches somebody's heartstrings in one way or another, and just kind of lets people know that there's other people going through the same thing out there.
I think that's important because sometimes when you go through devastating situations, you feel isolated. And regardless of
Yes.
how devastating your situation is, there is someone who has gone through it or has went through it, what have you.
Yes.
People can relate to your struggles. And I know that because, I've lost within the last less than 3 years, I lost both parents. So
Wow.
no, absolutely. So, and I started a little Facebook group of people called Lost Angels. If you have a
Mm.
loved one close to you, you lost someone, Facebook, Lost Angels, and it's just people who had someone very close to them pass away, and it's just we just pat each other on the back, give each other a hug virtually every once in a while just to talk about it, so I can understand. So books like yours are super important because people need that. The people who did their bids, the people who lost a spouse
Yeah.
or a child, businesses. I mean, there are people who will end their life because they lost a business,
Absolutely. Yep. And it's tragic.
and absolutely. And you need to know that people have persevered through that, you know, and they can too. So, I mean, your book is important. We need things like that to just to help us stay grounded, just
Yes.
stay sane, so to speak, in this insane world that we live in.
Absolutely,
It's crazy.
absolutely.
So while doing this book, what did you learn?
So, man, there's so many things. First thing I learned was how to be open and honest with myself, because
Right,
a lot of that is like, coming to terms with it and saying like, you're actually going through it. Because when I
right,
first went through it, I tried to like not ignore it, but not acknowledge it, and kind of like just put
right.
it like, hey, I knew she was sick for a while. It's going to be okay. I was prepared for this,
Hmm.
but in reality, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. I was just like, I wasn't accepting it yet. So the book, kind of just rehashed like what I've learned. And I wrote the book in like 2019, 2020. And it just a rehash of like the 5 years that I thought I was okay. And I always tell people that grief has no limit. Like you can grieve for years. I've seen people grieve for over a decade and still
Mm.
never truly get it out of their system. And that's okay,
Facts.
that's perfectly normal. And that's what you have to let people know, that grieving is normal. But there comes a time when you have to accept it, and not worry about things outside of your control and just worry about the things you can, and keep moving forward. Because you got to be like the people who passed on would not want to see you miserable. They wouldn't want to see you unhappy. They care about you. They love you, and you got to love yourself too. So those are just some of the things I've learned, just experiencing the book, because I was writing that book even while she was sick, taking notes, like going through it, because like you just never know when the inspiration come on you. Just take a moment, take a note, and that's like, I guess like maybe 8 pages. That's nothing compared to the amount of notes that I took during that whole, I guess it was like 6 years she was sick, through that whole ordeal. So um, yeah, so basically, accepting grief, being open and honest, and then also sharing with others is another thing I took away from that. So um, and that made me a better person, because I always was like leaning on her, and just the whole ordeal made me a better person. Like it made me grow up, if you will, and kind of learn to take care of things, and take care of my kids better, focus on the things we don't have time for, because time is limited. It's like one of the
Right.
things we cannot afford to waste. So, like I said, I can keep going. There's so many things, little nuggets of wisdom that you can take from that. Just 8 pages. And one day I'll write something bigger, but for now, that'll do. But
Right.
yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Would you see that as a form of therapy in itself?
Oh yeah,
Just writing.
oh yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess it's like an outlet. You know what I mean? Like some people go to therapy. I went to therapy. I'll be honest. Some people write. Some people draw. Some people do art, sing, dance. And for me, that was my outlet, because I didn't really have like a way to communicate. But
Right.
I got better over time. And I mean, at the time of the book, I was of course talking to people and sharing my experiences and things. But during the time that I was making those, writing those notes, that was the only way for me to, like, while she's on one side of the room, I'm on the other, just take a moment to take a breath, and you know kind of just jot something down to kind of get it off my spirit a little bit. Because it's tough, because you have to be the strong one during that time, not only for yourself, but if you have children, for your children. If you're like that pivotal person in your family, you have to be there for your family. You have to take care of all the business, the medical stuff, finance stuff. It's so much, and just want to make sure that that is something that everyone understands. So when I talk to people and meet them, I try to share that knowledge that I gained legally, financially, emotionally, because there's
What's
so many
what would be the
things.
first what would be the first thing you would tell someone who's trying to deal with that? What would be the first piece of advice you would tell them?
Uh, Keep positive people around you. Keep the negative ones away, whether they're family or not. That's so important, because it's interesting how people's true colors come out, um, when when a loved one is passing away in front of your eyes. Like, some people care, and some people, they have ulterior motives behind why they care. Versus you, who's just
Facts.
an emotional wreck.
Facts.
Everyone
Mm.
else around you is like, and they're they're right in their faculties. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly what they're plotting. So just keep the positive ones near you. Keep the negative ones away from you. If you're getting a bad vibe, trust your instincts, and you know, cover yourself and prepare for the unusual, because they definitely come out the woodwork, and come at the most unexpected time. So definitely want to do that.
I,
Like I said,
I agree.
man, it's interesting. Like, no one tells you this stuff. Like,
Hmm.
no one, like, they'll tell you like the emotional stuff. You're gonna be strong. It's gonna be okay. But they don't tell you about the legalities. They don't tell you about the, um, like the positioning, the leverage.
Right. Hmm.
Like the financial stuff, the medical stuff. But and then, like, the most important thing, a will. Please, folks, if you don't
Yeah.
have a will or a trust, get one.
Create
If you
one.
if you create one, it's real
Mm.
easy. Most of your companies, if you're in a business, like a big organization, they have legal documents that you can download. You can even go and download a document. Going to work, a friend of mine went to work and made me his witness right at work for his will. It's
Wow.
that easy. So,
Yeah.
and then put in a safe deposit box, put instructions, and then there you go. But please have a will. It'll save you tons of money. It protects your assets. It keeps your children from paying taxes on capital funds. It's definitely something you want to get protected. Like I said, these are just things I picked up as I went through this process. And oh man, I didn't come to do this type of show, but if you
Hmm.
have children and you're not married, make
Right.
sure you apply for guardianship
Hmm.
for your child, because if your spouse, or not spouse, if your girlfriend, boyfriend, and fiance passes away, those
Hmm.
children are not legally your children unless you have guardianship in the court system.
Right.
So
And guardianship is not easy.
yeah,
It's not an easy process. At
it's
least,
not.
and no, it's not an easy process. You get yourself a lawyer, invest, and it's an investment in yourself and in your children and your family. But guardianship is not something that's as simple as it sounds.
No, it's
It
not.
sounds like, and it just definitely isn't. Yeah, and I agree with everything that you said. The process of dealing with that, you so many, because with grief, first of all, you're dealing with grief.
Yeah.
You're dealing with grief, and then on top of that, now you're dealing with the legal aspects of what needs to be done, and going down to whatever office, whatever bank, or whatever. There are so many different
You hit it.
stages to this process when you're
Yes.
dealing with the grief, and it's difficult. So what you do need is positive people around you, because when you're dealing with, I mean, my sister is here right now, and we lost our father last January
Mm.
of.
My
So it's
condolences.
been about a year, and thank you. So it was about a year and a half. So I mean, it's just a lot of stuff you have to do, and it's a lot of work, and you just need those positive people around you, and it helps in that
Yes.
process, and good, it's not a grieving show, and we
Mm-mm.
talk, we however, but listen, if you can get some significant important information through who peed in the dating pool, get it, because everything else, wherever you can get it, you get it, man, because like everything is facts. What
Yeah.
Junior's saying is facts, that will, and making sure all your ducks are in order is
Hmm.
an important thing. I
It
mean,
is. It is.
it
Because
is
they'll
significant.
because you know what it is. They'll give you like a list of things to go through, like with the hospital or whatever, what have you. But you have to do your
Hmm.
research. You have to
Right.
sit down and commit the time to, what do I need to do if I'm losing a spouse? What do I need to do if I'm losing my girlfriend, my boyfriend, whatever?
Mm.
And legally, financially, wills, court system, like all of that. it,
Right.
it's it's interesting because, like I said, people will challenge you, and if you're not
Hmm.
prepared, they'll just blindside you, and that's the worst thing. Luckily, I asked questions, and I had people
Hmm.
around me who were kind of knowledgeable in the area. But in the first couple of years after, leading up to it, there was so much blindsidedness coming. I just had to kind of buckle in and kind of just deal with it. Luckily, she was still there, and she's smarter than me.
Hmm.
She was always smarter than me, and women were smarter than me. God, let's just get it right now. Um, and she just
Yeah,
taught
they
so
are.
much about,
Hmm.
like, how this works and everything. And even while she was sick, she still protected me. So it was
Right.
cool to kind of just have that star player, as Cat Williams say, in your corner, and just listen to the wisdom, try to research it, make sure you're following up, because it's a lot. It's a lot happening. You have to pay attention.
Get excess death certificates printed.
Yes.
Listen. They'll give you like 3 or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
probably want about 8 to 10,
Yes.
maybe even more.
Yes.
Get multiple death certificates printed, because this one wants one, and the bank wants one, and the
Mm-hmm.
house, everybody wants their own death certificate, and they don't really like copies. They want
Mm-mm.
original death
I'm an
certificates.
original.
So some of the things that some of the things that you don't think about, but it's a
Yeah.
lot,
It's a lot, man.
you know.
It's a lot. But
Oh
definitely
yeah.
check out your state laws when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to guardianship of your children, even if you're married.
Right.
I had one person I know, she had her kids, and they came and told her she was a bad mom. They ain't even research it. They immediately took the children away from her. And the boyfriend passed away, and his mother was coming after the kids and used that, and they was in court for like
That's
6 years.
that's
And
some Gestapo
yeah,
type.
it was crazy. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Mm.
And she didn't even really win. They became adults at 18. They were fighting in the court
Right.
so long, and they chose who they wanted to be with and did it that
They
way.
chose
But
her.
yes, but if she'd had the guardianship paperwork and went about it a legal kind of way, she would have been prepared. But these are the kind of things that just come up and surprise you.
Right.
So just be aware of that.
And then you don't need surprises. The death sometimes is a surprise enough,
Right.
without dealing with all the ancillary issues that come along with it. So
Right. Yep.
But you know what? All right, Junior. So you weren't always a married man, Junior.
Oh man, don't
you
get me in
you
trouble.
weren't.
Gotta look around.
You weren't always a married man. So you had to maneuver some of this urine in the pool at some point in time. So, question: you got married.
Mm,
One. So how did you know that this was the one?
wow.
Through all of that toxicity out there.
Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble. But you know what? I'll be honest with
Either
you. Go ahead. No,
either wife. I mean, you don't have to the most
So
either wife.
I'm
But
gonna
you
say
made
it like
that.
this. I'm gonna say it like
Mhm.
this. So before she passed away, I was a different type of dude. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
After she passed away, I was a different type of man. But so I'll go with the after first,
Okay.
right? Because you know how it is when you're young, you're trying everything. But when you're older, it's a little different. So I'll
Right.
be honest. Like I said, I was in denial about the whole thing. So I was just trying to jump right in the dating pool and see what's
Mhm.
up. And it wasn't that great, man. I tell you. And to be fair, it was bad on both sides. It's just it seemed like all the good people was married already or in a serious relationship. And then like you just dipping into the pool that's closest to you. So like your friend pool,
Right.
and you're trying to
Convenience.
make that work, right. Not
Mhm.
not to be like Bill Clinton, who just looked outside his door and looked at his secretary, but it's easy to just step right into your friend pool and be like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to date them. And
Right.
it's really different when you date your friend, because you're treating them like a friend.
Mhm.
It's a transition. Not saying that when you meet someone, you don't date your friend, but it's different when you have a goal to be with someone in a
Mhm.
relationship versus
Right.
their friend, and now you got to transition into this. I got to see them as more than a friend. That it's a little different. But I'll be honest.
I've never done that before. So what was the biggest obstacle? What was that?
The biggest obstacle was like I said, your friends see you a kind of way,
Mhm.
and now you're trying to be like romantic, or you're trying to be forward in a like a one-on-one kind of way versus like we
So
joking.
it's awkward.
It's awkward. So it's a real
Mhm.
awkward long period of it too. It's not like, you can overcome it immediately. It takes some time unless they genuinely had interest in you,
Hmm.
like, and you had interest in them, but you just never pursued it. So there's kind of like
Right.
this, like, does she look at me like that? Though I always seen him as like this nerdy dude. Now I got to see him as like someone I'm potentially wanted to hook up with. Nah, let's see what happens. So it just this it's a longer period, even though people be like, oh well, I know them, we cool. You're like, yeah, you cool, but how cool are you
You're not
really?
cool like, yeah, like not that, not cool like
Not
that.
Yeah, not cool
Different
like
type of
that.
cool. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Now we holding hands and all that other stuff. It's a little
Yeah.
different. It's a little different.
I can imagine. I can imagine that would be like awkward.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember I bought one person like flowers on a date. And
Hmm.
like it's kind of corny this day and time, but some women like that.
Oh
But
yeah,
like
a lot of
she,
women like that. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
my friend looked at it like flowers, what? And it was a date. We legitimately said this is a date, but it still was like, I can't believe you bought flowers. That's crazy. And if I was in a date scenario, it probably would be the right thing to do. But she seen it as
Right.
like my friend bought me flowers. What? It was
So she
weird.
couldn't get out of that mindset either.
No, no.
So,
And even I
oh
was and even
yeah.
I was trying to find like an avenue of approach. Like, how do I approach getting her out the friend zone and into like potential wifey material? Like, is it possible? Like, I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know. Gotta figure it out. But that it was really awkward. And I can go on. It's like, I tried to date
So,
like a couple of friends like that, so it just didn't work out. It did
so
not
I'm gonna
work
ask
out.
you. So afterwards, did you remain friends?
No, actually,
Mm.
no. So it ruined. It not only didn't lead to anything, but it ruined the
A good
friendship. Right,
friendship.
a good friendship. We was cool, knew her for like 5 years, and it
Mm.
just like after that, I was like, man, now I see who she is. I ain't cool with that. Like, not
Oh,
you
ain't that,
know.
isn't that that's
She was a
funny?
cool. She was a cool friend, but she wasn't a good girlfriend. That's that's
Wow,
weird. That's
wow.
weird.
And
So I was,
that's you spot on, bro. Yeah, because you can be a good friend and not be a good boyfriend or
I
girlfriend.
think there's less judgment in that. Like,
Yeah, because they see your flaws and it's not my problem, but then it
yes,
becomes their problem.
dude.
So now, yeah.
Man, I met this one girl, cool,
Mm.
cool as hell, but I got to see how she lived, and I was like, I can't. So it's like, or before I've been over to her place before, it was not a problem. Now I've been over there, and
Right.
I was like, I don't approve. I can't live like this. No. So like things like that. You like things like you said, as a friend, wouldn't even be a non-factor, be a non-factor.
Right.
But like potential mate for the rest of my life, I don't know. The standards, I can't drop them. So yeah. So a lot of that, like I said, the first 6 months, just trying to figure it out. But then I just stopped dating because it was costly. It took a lot of time
Yeah.
away from my kids, and I
Hmm.
just could not get like the past. I finally realized that I was comparing people, so I could not, stop
Very
comparing
high standard.
to the
Very high
previous
standard.
relation. Exactly. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to burden anybody else. I'm not going to burden myself. I'm just going to step away from the pool and just kind of just
Mm.
walk on the side and look at the pool from a distance and just take some time for me to kind of
Mm.
clean the cage, because people are like, damaged in the cage, or what's that term? Forgot what it's called, but they're like a damaged bird, in the
Oh, okay.
cage.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's like you need time to reset, look at
Hmm.
yourself, what kind of
All
person
right.
are you, and then
Right.
figure it out, and then you can be like have something to give someone else, because you can't go in faulty, and you also can't
Mm.
go in with this closed mentality, like you're not open to things.
Mm.
And I was like that for like a couple of years. It's just hanging out, being cool with people, and just kind of figuring things out, working on my book, trying to clear the feelings, and I guess I called it living in the gray, because
Right.
you're not picking a side, you're just kind of in limbo a little bit, you know. And then yeah, that's how it was. Yeah.
It's okay for people to stick their toe into the pool. You don't have to take the full plunge and dive in head first all the
Yes.
time, especially because we all know if we're ready. I mean, you know. like I'm ready. And sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we think we're ready, but we're not ready. But if you have that sense of doubt, then I think you should, proceed with caution, because if you're dealing with something traumatic, and obviously that was a traumatic situation,
Hmm.
and your feelings, it's difficult for anyone's feelings to be all in when you had so much invested in someone prior.
Yeah.
And now you have to go into this dating pool and look at someone and say, you know what? Hmm. I know what I had before. You know what I'm saying? It's like breaking up with it's almost like breaking up with an ex that you didn't want to break up with.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and then everybody else is like, you're not her, or
Right.
you're not him, or what have you. And it's difficult. And you have to make sure that that individual is as much out of your system as possible so they
Yes.
can't interfere with the next
Yeah.
relationship that's on the horizon.
Right.
And that takes time. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's like
for
you just
most people.
like you just don't want to bring the baggage from the previous relationship.
Facts. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
this was bad baggage. This was like, and I'll be like, it was my soulmate. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's like the epitome. But now I look back and I call it like the prototype. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
she was the prototype for what I want. Like I knew what I
Mhm.
wanted after that, but that wasn't in my mind until like later on to say, holy smoke,
Right.
like I want a woman like that, and they are out there. Like no,
They
no,
are.
no. I have no like compunction to think that there isn't that type of woman out there, and there is because I married her. But my thing
Right.
is like you have to, like you said, not bring the baggage. Treat
Hmm.
every potential relationship like a new relationship. Like this person ain't do nothing to me. Let me see
Right.
what they have to offer. I have to
Right.
also offer something. It's not just about me going out and they better be good. It's like I have to bring 100%, they have to bring 100%, and together we'll build something like that. That's the mentality. But if you're going into it like, I'll just try something out and see what it's like, then you're not ready
Yeah.
to date. It's like you said, you just
And you're
sticking
not
your
being
toe in them.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you're not being fair to that person,
nah,
because if you're going to go in, go in. If you're not going to go in, don't go in. Or if you're going to go haphazardly, at least be honest. Like,
yes,
listen, I'm not really comfortable with this. I'm just trying this out. And then that person at least can have their guard up somewhat and has lower their expectation a tad bit. So they're not
hmm
going in there thinking you're going in full fledged and you're giving them
yeah,
30% effort.
yes, because that's scary.
That's, yeah, it is
That's
cruel.
scary.
And it's cruel. And it's cruel.
Yeah, yeah, because it's
And
like it's like disingenuous.
oh, it is absolutely. And I think we've all been that person at some point in time. I'm not going to sit up here and have this like higher than thou type mentality. Like, I've
Mm-mm,
never been
nah.
that person. I was young. Listen, man, I was a young guy, and
You was
when you're
young
young,
because I
I
still
was
think you're
young.
young.
So talk to my body, man.
Because I'm like, yo, how old is this dude? He looks young as hell. Shit.
The inflammation in the joints and the
Oh,
knees.
now you talking my language. Don't go there, man. Don't go there. Let's keep it moving.
while I limp up these stairs.
Oh man.
Man,
Oh no.
yeah, man, yeah. I'm on the 5th floor in a couple of months.
Woo. Good
Yeah,
luck with
yeah, in a
that.
couple of months.
Good
Yeah,
luck
I'm
with
on the
that.
5th floor.
I'm down with the
Yeah,
ground floor crew. So me and Steers, I told my daughter, I was like, Steers is an older man's worst enemy right now. Like you
Oh
don't want to
man.
fall on him, you don't want to trip. None of that.
No, no, no.
None of
No, the
that.
5th floor. No, 5th floor meaning that big 5-0.
Oh.
Yeah, that 5th floor.
Oh my goodness. I can't talk. I
Yeah.
got 2.5 years. So, but my thing is too is like current 50 is like new 40, like 35. Like my dad when he
That's what.
turned 50, he looked 50, dude. Like he looked old.
All right.
You know what I'm
Right, right,
saying?
right.
But I would never think you're turning 50, dude. No way. No way.
And the crazy thing, people always say, they be like, 50 is the new 30. I'm like, but it's feel like the same 50.
Oh, I didn't say it didn't look. I didn't say it didn't feel like 50. I just said it didn't look like 50. It's still 50.
I'm like, ow.
Yeah, that
Ow.
collagen, all that stuff is wearing away. It's still 50, man. I ain't getting away with that.
Oh my
I might look
gosh,
40,
man.
but I feel 50, maybe 51.
Oh, what? Yeah, yeah. If 50 is the new 49,
Oh yeah.
that's what it is. Oh yeah, definitely the new 49.
Whew,
You know,
man.
I tell people, I had this conversation on lives before, and I talk to people. I'm like, listen, when the older you get, you have to realize that you're not the young man or the young woman that you used to be.
Right.
Things aren't the same anymore. You're not as attractive as you were. You're
Yes.
not as strong as you were. You don't have the same amount of endurance as you did at once had. And then you have to be truthful and honest to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us aren't. And some people are my age, they sit there trying to play young man's games.
Nah.
And you can't listen, man. You can't keep up with
I,
these.
I said when I was younger, that's the one thing I would never perpetrate and be like in the
Mhm.
clubs, trying to roll down the boulevard, trying to whistle at somebody. Like, nah, dude. I'm in a lounge chilling. I'm on cigars now. Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I'm like
Is
that.
that your grandfather? Ain't that your
It's
grand?
like, yeah, what's up, sweetie? How you
Ain't that your grandfather?
doing? Come on over here. Let me holler. Let me holler at you for a minute. I'm like, you better go ahead on eating Tootsie Rolls and talking that mess. But yeah,
Oh
they
man.
out here trying. But I said I would never go that route. I always
Mm.
wanted to be like my age. I wanted to approach dating maturely. I want to know what I'm looking for in a woman. I don't want to lead them
All right.
on. I want them to know
Mm.
exactly what they're trying to get, what they're getting, and I want them to know what I want in my life. Like I'm at this level in my life, and I want to reciprocate that with the person that I want to be with. I don't want just somebody who looks cute and on the inside they just ugly. I want someone who's benevolent and gives and are thoughtless, stuff like that, and also know how to handle a family, take care of themselves, love themselves, because that's the most important thing, and are willing to be open and share, because
All right.
those people who are single, sometimes it has to do with selfishness,
Yeah.
whereas the people who are in relationships, they're just genuinely caring and they want to share a part of themselves, because that's what you're essentially doing. You're giving up part of yourself, part of your time, part of your life to share with this other person. And I said that I was going to be prepared to be that mature person, because like you said, when you're young, you're not thinking about other people. You're thinking about your own self gratification. You're like masturbating through your 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
n-
At that 20,
wow,
you're barbarian. You know what
yes,
I'm saying?
that
At
word is
that age,
amazing. Yes.
I'm just saying that the vulnerability. Well, when you're older, you recognize these vulnerabilities. You recognize that you know, we have a time limit and so
Yes.
forth. But when you're
Yes.
young, you don't see that.
No, you
And
invincible, dude. Yo,
oh,
you
what?
can't tell
Oh
you
man.
nothing. Like if you try to date somebody when you're young and they shoot you down, you
Hmm.
don't care. You go to the next person. They lost out. They lost. Not me. I'm good.
Exactly,
Something wrong with
exactly.
them. Not me.
Because
I'm okay.
facts. Because you can just hop on along. But
Yes.
now, when they dump you, now you got to roll
Ooh,
along to the next,
yeah.
and that, and
That stung
that,
a
that
little bit.
distance is
Ooh,
long.
my
The
throat.
next one is all the way over there. Maybe
Oh.
tomorrow.
Feel like I felt that denial in my throat a little bit. I gotta think about that for a week or two. You know?
Yo, facts, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know what it is? Because I think like when you get older, you're kind of like
Right,
you said, more vulnerable, and I think that's
right.
necessary to build relationships. You have to show a vulnerable part of yourself in order to let people know
Hmm.
that you're a real person. Otherwise, they build this hypothetical idea of who
Know who you
Junior
are.
is, right? Who Junior is, who you are, and
Right,
then when you show your true colors, like 3 months later, they're like, "Who is this? This is
right,
not
right.
this is not what we agreed on. Like you were nigging on the contract, and
Exactly.
now you have to explain it away or come up with some other thing, and you shouldn't be able to do that. When you're dating, you should be like straight up front. Hey, I fart when I sleep, I snore, you know, I like bubble gum, and I have bad teeth. I don't know, but it's okay. It's what I do. So you have to let
Right.
them know I'm bad with finances. Like, but there's people who still are adulting with bad finances. Like, you might meet someone who's awesome with finances and they compliments you, and now you become a better person. But they won't know what
Absolutely.
they need, what they offer, and what you offer, unless you be upfront and straightforward with them. And that's just something I don't think a lot of young people do. I'm not going to say all, because there are
Right.
some out there who's just mature enough. I met a lot of those guys, um,
Hmm.
and they just know that they just have an old soul and they just be honest with it. Versus me,
Right.
I wasn't doing that.
No, neither was I. Neither was I'm honest with myself. I know who I was.
Hmm.
I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to have
Yes.
fresh gear. I wanted to be, like the freshest, what have you.
Hmm.
But as we get older, we realize, things different, and you prioritize things differently.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know that this show is called "Who Peed in the Dating Pool." But let's be just say, because there's a lot of pee in that pool. I mean, I
No.
hear it constantly, constantly. I hear it. But at the end of the day, full transparency, there are a lot of good people out there.
Yes.
There are a
There
lot
are.
of good men. There are a lot of good women out there. And as single people, who is the single people out there, you have to be willing to give these people a chance. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means going outside of your comfort zone. You may have find somebody if you're a woman, he might be 2 inches shorter than you. He might
Hmm.
be and short, but you know what? Are you going to walk away from someone who's going to add to your happiness? Are you going to walk away from
Hmm.
somebody who's going to appreciate you and respect you because he's an inch shorter than you?
Facts.
There,
Facts.
there are a lot of people who will.
I,
And guys, if she doesn't have the biggest butt in the world, okay.
I,
Does she need to? Listen, what's important? Does she care about you? Will she make
yes.
sure that you take your medicine? Will she make sure that you brought your lunch when you went to those things are the things that
Yes.
matter.
Yeah.
But we get caught up in so many just
And
nonsensical.
I'll raise my hand and admit that right there, because my wife, I actually met her 6 months before I officially met her at my cousin's New Year's party, and
Mm,
I actually said what's up, gave her a hug on New Year's, and said goodnight. You know what I'm saying? And then like the next time we went out together, me, two of my cousins and her, and I was just drinking and eating food and not really even paying attention to her. You know what I'm saying? Like we was just there. I thought she was hooking up with my cousin. Couldn't find out. They just knew each other and it was just cool. It was just cool.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't really pay attention until my cousin was like, "Hey, what do you think about her?" And I was like, "Who?" She was like, "Her." And I was like, "I didn't even know she was in the pool." You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, we'll go out." And I
Mm-hmm.
seen her that night, and I came full open because I remember telling a girl 2 days before that I was not looking. I remember saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right. Right.
we went out to a comedy club, and I walked in. I was late. Fellas, don't ever
Mm.
be late on a first date, please. Um,
Or to a comedy
or
club.
to a comedy
Don't
club.
go so late to a
Luckily,
comedy
I was
club.
late for being in line, so it wasn't that bad.
Right.
But I
Mm-hmm.
got there. She was sitting there eating chocolate covered strawberries. I looked over in the
Mm-hmm.
corner, and she was sitting down. She was like, "Help me up," and I helped her up. And I was like, "Oh damn," because she was like 2 inches taller than me, and I was like,
Okay.
"Wow, this is amazing." And she didn't hear me. She said, but I said that. I said it out loud, and
Okay.
that kind of sealed the deal from the start. And then we just started talking. She liked to travel. I like to travel. We both want to be better than what we are. We want to put in 150% into relationships. We're not thinking
Mm-hmm.
about like now. We're thinking about the future. Like we just had a lot of similarities, and I never even looked until I was open to the idea and looked at what was right next to me. If I'd probably seen her sooner, it might not even worked out. It just so happened to work out that way. But being open-minded, like, and getting rid of the idea, like you said, big butts, and she has to be flawless and all this other stuff. Like, everybody has flaws, everybody. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's interesting how dudes can be like, I want a woman who's perfect when they got a belly, they don't work out, they ain't got no money in the bank, they don't got
Right.
money to take women out to dinner, because that's like my current wife had walls up because there were guys she was dating who couldn't pay for dinner. Like the one guy
Right.
even said that he left his wallet by mistake. You know what I'm saying? But like stuff like that. Like, and I had to
Right.
work through her guard. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a perfect example of how, one, we need to stop putting women in these cookie cutter shape things, and saying that they
Right.
have to fit or it won't work. And two, we have
Right.
to just have this open mentality that the perfect woman can sometime just take a little bit of conversation to figure out what's perfect for us rather than
Right.
what's perfect in everyone else's eyes. You know, like,
Ab- Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Because perfection, is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Because you sit up there and you look at what society says is the perfect person. You know, that may not be the perfect person for you.
hmm,
And you have to look in within yourself and say, what do I need
yeah,
in my life? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And does she fulfill those needs? And if she fulfills those needs, and if you're single and if you have interest, then I think you need to look into that and at least try to find out if there's something there. But sometimes we put wants ahead of needs,
yes, yep,
because you can want her to have long hair,
hmm,
but you need her to be a good listener.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so you gotta measure this and weigh this and what's significant and what's important. And a
hmm.
lot of times, it's not just men. It's not just men. Women do it too.
Oh yeah,
But men tend to do it a little bit more because we're so visual. We we're visual creatures,
wow,
and
you hitting
I don't
you
know why that
you
is.
hitting all the nails on the head right there. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know why we're that way.
I was explaining
Maybe
that to
that's
my
where how we're
daughter.
just
You know what it is? We're
yeah.
just simple. Like if I see a
Hmm.
burrito and that joint look delicious, I want that. Whereas women gonna
Right.
be like, is there pork in there? Because I can't eat pork. You know
Is
what I'm
it
saying?
gluten
Is
free?
it gluten free? Because I'm on a gluten diet and I don't like black beans. I want red beans. The dude
Right,
just be
right,
like,
right.
yo, is there bacon in there? That's all I need to know. And if not, can you put bacon? Because we
Yeah.
want bacon. But I'm like, you're absolutely right. Like we're very
Right.
visual versus women who are very emotional, and there's like some behavioral stuff that they're looking for in a person. Like, and I think that's just that nurturing side of them that
Mm-hmm.
makes them that way. Versus men who are like, I don't. I hate to take it back to the woods, but we're like, the caretaker, the
Still caveman.
survivors, protectors,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I tell people at work
Hunter
all the time,
gatherer.
yo, I cave,
Yeah.
I caveman it. I'm a survivor. I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
Versus women, they just want to take care of everything, make sure everything's good. If
Yeah.
is this okay? So yeah, we definitely need to look beyond the physical and dive into mental, try to figure it out. Like,
Yeah. You,
hey,
you know you know what happens, what I notice sometimes, not all the time, but when men finally get past that superficial aspect of the visual, a lot of times that happens when we ourselves decline and we don't
mm,
have the same options that we had before. So now when you're older and you got the dad bod and all that other stuff, shout out to the dad bods. When you got the dad bods or whatever, and you don't have that same pool to choose from,
hmm,
then a lot of men, not all men, but some men tend to somewhat lower that unrealistic standard that they place on women.
yeah,
You know, this
yeah.
perfection. It's like women don't tend to put that physical that element on us
They're
as
so
much as
forgiving.
we do.
They're so kind.
Right.
Thank you, ladies, for your kindness. We appreciate it. Cause
Hmm.
guys are so, I'm not gonna say like they're so like to a standard, to a personal standard, but it's just we're just so simple sometimes. Like if it looks good, we won't be with it. That's just like a young man mentality. And as you get older,
Hmm.
you kind of season a little bit. You kind of be like, oh, what's pretty on the wrapper is not always what's best for us. So you kind of figure it out
Yeah.
better. And I think that's why younger women would date an older man like back in the day. Because I remember competing with like those older dudes with women around my
Right.
age. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's a little different now being the older guy, but that's guys shallow. I hear you, Sandra.
Well,
I hear you, but
yeah. We're shallow in the physical, but sometimes the ladies tend to be shallow with the financial. So we all have our flaws and our crosses to bear in that regard. So
I was
I think we both have obstacles that we need to work on,
yeah, yeah.
men and women.
I think it's just a fault of the gender. Like it's the way we're built. We're just built
Hmm.
to naturally look with our eyes versus like women with their heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Right.
definitely agree that men are one dimensional. Shallow, I mean, once you get to know a dude, like, they have a lot to offer, because you're trying to understand their soul. Like, when you're trying to meet someone, you want to get to their soul. I don't want to just know you, I want to feel you. Like,
Mm.
I don't want to just, like, be around you, I want to be with you, So it's like things
Right.
like that, So I wouldn't say shallow, I would just say, like, there's layers, like Shrek said, and there's layers to the onion. You kind of have to peel through the onions. You might cry a little
Yeah.
bit, but when you get
Yeah.
to the middle, it's not that
Yeah.
bad, But you kind of
Yeah.
have to kind of figure it out.
Eh,
Oh, there you go.
Technology. We think so much. We think differently. I think that's what it is. I think women, and men, we have to realize that women don't think like we do, and we don't think like they do. And if we try and not put them in that box that's familiar, then I think things will work out a little better. Because you're like, listen, we understand that. Listen, we like me want meat, while
Yes,
you not want meat.
yes,
And they, and that's how we are. And when women like, listen, he want meat. I understand that. Give him meat. Give him meat. That's what he wants. You know what I'm saying? They don't want the garnish on all that other stuff. Don't put the
yes,
little leaf on the side. That's what they want. And understand that this is what they are. And understand that women want the garnish on the side of their beef
yes,
or whatever, and this is what they are, and understand that this is who they are, and accept them for who they are, as opposed to trying to make them something that they're not, because
hmm,
biologically we are what we are. And I don't think there's much changing in that regard. But if we can work around it and understand that we have differences and learn to appreciate those
yeah,
differences, I think it make
yeah.
things go a little smoother.
I I think for me it's like, okay, yeah, I'm one dimensional, but I've added layers. I've added them
Right.
because I know my fault, right? So, and I've also been in relationships I really wanted and lost them, and I understand why I lost those relationships. Maybe because
Mhm.
I came on too hard, like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful. I never once said that, like, I never knew you got your MBA in finance or recognized that she's
Yeah.
been, like, recognized as a leader in her community, stuff like that, and it's like, oh, he just looking at me for my looks, so, like,
Right.
I recognize that I did that, so I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get to know a person, like Biggie Smalls says, what's your name, what's your sign? I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not trying I'm not trying to just buy you a drink and then, you know, get on the dance floor. I'm trying to understand who you are to see if you're worth
Mhm.
the time and effort because to me, the time takes precedence because time is precious and we can't get that back. So I'm investing time in you. Like that's the currency. Not money, not physicalities, it's time.
Yeah.
Like is it worth the time? That's
The
what it's
older
about.
you, the older you get, the more you appreciate that time.
Yeah.
I think because when you're younger, you think you have all the time in the world, and
Oh
the
yeah.
older you get, the more time, the more you realize you don't.
Oh yeah.
You just don't. And I think that we learn.
Hmm.
We learn from our experiences, and I think what we take from our experiences matter.
Mm.
And and you need those experiences and those valuable lessons to take forward so you can grow. If
Hmm.
you're not taking something beneficial from those experiences, then I would say that we're not even growing.
Right.
Because
Right.
I mean, the good and the bad. Because I mean, we all have had our negative experience. We all have had poor relationships. We all have had good relationships that we messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I think that if you're capable of learning from them and bringing something to the table, positive or negative, I think that most of us are on the right track to get that pee out the pool,
Hmm.
because the P is
The
the
P is
people.
the
Let's
P
not
is the people.
the
Yes.
P is the people. Let's let's not get that wrong. But and then there's so many reasons why we're P. We're P because of trauma. We're P because of past experiences. We're P because we haven't able to internalize some of the feelings that we've dealt with, as far as being hurt in the past or being
Mm.
used or what. There's so many reasons. People aren't bad by nature. I think that we deal with these things, and sometimes we don't know how to internalize it, so to speak.
Fair
I
enough.
don't
Yeah,
know if we,
yeah.
maybe that's not the right word that I'm looking for
No,
at
no,
the
no, no,
time.
no. I
You
think
know,
it's a part of that. It's like internalize it, like own the challenges and experiences that you went through to shape you into a
right?
better person, so that you don't be the bad pea in the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely get the reference. You know what I'm saying? But
Be the chlorine.
be the chlorine. I'd rather be the chlorine in the pool. Or at least if you're gonna be like in the pool, be in the
Yeah,
pee. There's gonna
right.
be an indicator that there's someone peeing in the pool. Like there's an indicator, and that indicator is everyone makes mistakes. Everyone says things that they immediately regret, like as soon as they
Mm.
say it. Like, and we got to just watch our approach, like because the way we approach it's gonna set the tone for the whole date. It's gonna be like
Right.
you got to be respectful. You got to be honest. Like you got to pay attention. Like if you care. And man, when you said like the people is the P, I wish I had more time because I really
Mm.
want to explore that because I'm like wow, like I didn't even think about
Mm.
it like that. I'm thinking like
Yeah.
the P is like some of the negativities in like just the social schema of like how
Yeah.
we have these expectations on people of the opposite sex. Doesn't
It
matter, male,
contributes.
female.
It
That
definitely contributes.
yeah, like we just have this expectation, and I think like another factor when I started dating again was that I got rid of the expectation, like that people had to be a certain way, look a certain way. I just accepted people for who they are. Hell, if you have bad breath, we can fix that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's Altoids now. We got Tic Tacs. Like, there's plenty of solutions. You don't eat pork? Fine, I'll eat pork. We won't go to those restaurants. I'll eat it when you're not looking. Stuff like that. Like it's
Hmm.
getting rid of that thing that says that a person has to be perfect, and then like also not having the pressure on ourselves to say that we also have to be perfect. We just be upfront and honest and just go with the flow. So
Yeah. And perfection. Perfection is not fun. Perfection is
it's not.
boring.
It's not.
Flaws. Flaws. We all have flaws, and working on our flaws. That's that's fascinating. When you got
Yeah.
somebody, anybody, myself, you, whomever, and you have flaws and you work to improve those flaws, that's way more interesting than anybody's perfection.
Well.
Because then there's a journey, and then you get to see starting point A and your ending. And
And your
that
ending.
whole journey and that process of watching someone grow is way more interesting than any
It
perfection
is.
that you could ever imagine. And I think that that's part of the process, accepting who we are,
Mm-hmm.
knowing who we are, and understanding. Because a lot of times we don't take the time to
No.
self analyze and and see ourselves and what we are and be honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Unless
I
it's
mean,
something we really wanted, we lose it. We'll be like, what the hell? And you actually feel
yeah,
it, the loss. You feel it. And you're like, wow,
well,
what could I have done? You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then sometimes some people tend to justify whatever behavior,
Yeah.
and that you're not growing. Justification. Some people are
Yeah.
justified and justify anything. What it doesn't matter, you
Yep.
know.
They'll explain it
So
away. They'll be like, it was them, not
yeah,
me. Like they don't know what they're
right,
missing.
right,
It's like
exactly,
being
yeah,
ghetto.
yeah,
It's like being ghetto
yeah.
fabulous. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's
And
good.
then
I'm good over here.
and then you go through the whole process all over again and wonder why it continues. That all men are bad. All
Right.
the no. I mean, all your choices are bad. So
Yes.
once you
Yes.
start making
The
better
very
choices,
the very definition of crazy is when you're expecting
okay,
like a different result from repeated
from
action.
doing this,
Like
absolutely.
you wow. But brother, I really appreciate it, man. Really
And we
appreciate it.
got like a minute. We got less than a minute left. And yo, I appreciated this. I thought this was an awesome dialogue, brother. You are welcome anytime. Sadara, I see you. What's up? She's a,
I
you
love her
know,
comments, man.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. She's a smart cookie, and she was on one of the lives. I mean, she was awesome. She's amazing.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, I appreciate you for coming. It was a great show, like I told people it would be, and
Hmm.
My sister, I'm glad my sister enjoyed it too. What's up, Sadra? So I'm glad that you were here. Anytime you're welcome. You want to come back? We might
Awesome.
have a bigger male forum so we can discuss this amongst male. And usually I have a partner, 28 seconds. But yo, thank you
Thank
again.
you.
Appreciate
It.
everybody who was on the live. Shout you out. Big up. Thank you.
Hold on.
Appreciate it. Check out that book. Go buy that book.